As we roll out, let's wave goodbye to everyone else in line. See y'all later. Now you've met your tour guide, your driver, and I also want to introduce you to our MC of the evening, Mr. Jimmy Fallon, host of The Tonight Show.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Welcome aboard the world's famous studio tour. I know what you're thinking, but why the tux? Well, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary. That's right, 60 years of glitz, glamour, and our own great white shark. As we celebrate our diamond anniversary today, we'll pay tribute to Universal's past and take you behind the scenes to discover why this studio tour is world famous. So whether this is your first visit or your 60th, get ready for fun, excitement, and an experience like no other.
Now in a few moments, we're going to be headed down what we call the Universal Timeline. Because if you look to your right, you're about to see just a few of some of the thousands of films produced here at Universal Studios over the years. We opened up our doors on March 15th, 1915, thanks to a man named Carl Lagoon, who had a dream of creating a city dedicated to fostering a community of artists. And that's exactly what we are today. We're coming up with our own zip code, sheriff's substation, laundromat, and fire department, which we'll see later tonight. We started off with 230 acres, and since then we've expanded to 400. And with the rising demand of film and television production, we are still expanding to this day. A little bit later, we're going to see that construction is underway for our new roller coaster based on our Fast and Furious franchise here at Universal Studios Hollywood. More updates about the construction will be announced on our social media accounts. Now, on March 15th, 1915 was when Carl Laemmle invited the public into the studio to watch silent movies being made. Guests could walk from set to set and marvel at the new technology involved in filmmaking. But with the invention of sound and the need for the quiet on set, the original walking tour ended. It wasn't until the 1960s, under the leadership of company chairman Lew Wasserman and executives Al Dorskin and Jay Stein, that the idea of reviving a tour of the studio returned. It was when the Gray Line bus tours, which originated in Hollywood, made a stop at our gates that inspired the change. On July 15th, 1964, the first of our red and white candy-striped glamour trams took 67 passengers on a 2-hour driving tour of the Universal lot, and the world-famous studio tour was born. We started with 2 drivers, 2 guides, and 1 ticket seller. All of them were working out of a trailer on Lancashire Boulevard, and from there, the studio tour expanded with fantastic one-of-a-kind Hollywood elements like the rock slide and the burning house, which were in this area of the lot back in the 1970s and 80s. The burning house was actually located to our right, now home to our fire department, which is very fitting. Today you're on board one of our 60th anniversary glamour trams. It's one of our super trams. We're dressed up in a throwback Hollywood style just for our 60th anniversary. This red and white candy stripe was originally created by Harper Goff, a well-known Hollywood art director and set designer who worked on movies like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory for Paramount and was known for his fantastical designs. In 1983, we upgraded to super trams, allowing us to carry more guests and experience more thrills. In 2000, we added onboard video, turning the tram into a movie theater on wheels. And in the past 5 years, we've gone electric. Now, our studio is made up of 2 parts, the front lot and the back lot. And right now, we're headed down into our front lot, which is home to the majority of our 36 sound stages, as well as all of our sound and editing facilities. The front lot is really unique because it's where we can do the entire filmmaking process from start to finish, from pre-production to post-production. Coming up on our left is Soundstage 12. This is our oldest and largest soundstage, measures out to 30,000 square feet. Over the years, it's been home to some of your favorite large sets in history, like Dracula's Castle, Frankenstein's Lab, Scarface's Mansion, and the town of Whoville. Says the voice on the front, it is no longer home to the voice, though. Right now we're driving in between the studio and the theme park. Coming up on our right is Super Nintendo World, home to Mario and Luigi, the stars of our biggest film of 2023, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. This is also where the studio tour guests once had a chance to explore facets of Hollywood that were previously not available to the public before 1964. In the 1960s and 70s, you could visit the room of Lucille Ball, and you can visit the office of Oscar award-winning costume designer Edith Head. You could also drive through the props department, and in the 1980s, it was home to the preview center and special effects stage. Over to our left are some of our sound stages. Coming up on the left is Soundstage 7, which is where the iconic shower scene in Psycho was filmed. Alfred Hitchcock wasn't just instrumental in the horror genre, but filmmaking as a whole. I mean, if you think of that scene, he taught us that our imagination is far scarier than anything you could see on your screens, because Anthony Perkins, who played Norman Bates, wasn't even in California when he filmed that. He was actually in New York working on a play. On your left, you're seeing even more sound stages. They've been used for recent productions, including Universal's 11th Best Picture Oscar winner Oppenheimer and the 3rd season of the Peacock series Bel Air. To tell us more, here's our next 60th anniversary guest, the stars of Bel Air, Jabari Banks, and Ollie Charlatan.
Real Hollywood magic is made. How? Well, inside the sound stages that surrounds us, we can create any kind of environment the script demands.
For the past 60 years, studio tour visitors have driven right by these buildings, and inside these walls, the sets from your favorite TV shows and movies have transported audiences anywhere the imagination can take you, even to a palatial mansion in Bel Air.
When we film Bel Air, we love coming out of the sound stages and seeing the trams filled with excited guests as they drive by.
So, keep an eye out.
You never know who
or what
you'll see on the studio tour.
And Bel Air is streaming now on Peacock. Soundstage 14 has also been home to shows like The Mindy Project and Superstore. But our television history goes back almost as far as our film history, beginning with our broadcast of the 1939 New York World's Fair, and we've been making shows ever since. Classics that have made these sound stages their homes include The Jeffersons and One Day at a Time. Newer shows are based on a true story starring Kaylee Cuoco and Killing It starring Craig Robinson. But before these productions make it onto your screens, they first have to go through something called the pre-production process. And that's everything that happens before the camera starts rolling. So you got your budgeting, location scouting, screenwriting, casting, crew hiring, all of that and more, and it happens here on our front lot. Once we do pre-production, we head into filming, followed by post-production, distribution, and release. Post-production can take a really long time. It ranges from adding simple CGI elements, computer-generated imagery, to crafting full scenes through the computer. It's also consisting of sound design, color correcting, all that and more. And an example of just how long it can take to do the post-production process is one of our newest shows, Ted. It's a prequel to the Ted films, and speaking of Ted, if you look to your left, you'll see Ted himself. Everyone say, "Hey, Ted." He's a little shy today. It's him. It's not you. Now, we released Ted January 11th of this year, but we started filming in August of 2022. So that just shows you how long it can take.
Hi everyone, Seth MacFarlane here, and I'm excited to share with you a behind-the-scenes look at my Peacock original event series, TED. It's a prequel series set in 1993, and that means our skilled craftspeople had to build a high school, a house, and even recreate downtown Boston as it looked back in the day, using exterior sets and facades that you're about to see on the tour. But I should warn you, TED is intended for mature audiences only. So grown-ups, tell the kids to go in the other room before you watch.
To our left are our production bungalows, home to many famous production companies. We got Mark Platt's production company, who brought you La La Land, and they're about to bring you Wicked. We used to have Dwayne Johnson's production company on the lot, 7 Bucks Productions. The name derives from the fact when he first came to Hollywood, he had a total of 7 bucks to his name. Now we have the De Laurentiis company on the lot as well. Brought the Hannibal franchise to your small screens, which is very fitting because they are housed in the former office of Alfred Hitchcock. Over to your left, 5195. You can still see his silhouette on the outside of the building. In the 1920s, he began making cameos in his films, which means he'd make a brief appearance in the background. He originally would appear at any point, but then audiences were spending too much time trying to find him, so he started only appearing at the beginning. To our left are sound stages 25 and 26. They look a little different than the sound stages I showed you earlier, because the front half is home to production offices and fitting rooms, but just behind it, it's where we filmed Lopez vs. Lopez, starring George Lopez and his real-life daughter Mayan Lopez, and our newest show, St. Denis Medical. Now, roughly 80 to 90% of filmmaking is done within our sound stages because it's such a flexible and controlled environment. But what happens when a script calls for large exterior shots that are too big to fit inside of those sound stages? In that case, we head to our metropolitan set, where the world is literally just around the corner.
We're about to cross the imaginary boundary onto the back lot, where we have exterior sets for many outdoor scenes. Over the last 60 years, studio tour guests have seen these locations turned into big cities, quiet suburbs, even that guy's hometown. Yeah, that guy. For countless movies and TV shows. This is Universal's Metro Sets.
Although it takes up only 4 acres of land, we can turn it into almost any city in the world. To our right is our brownstone street, you might remember it from Bruce Almighty, but the road we're traveling down is also the road Marty McFly sped down to reach 88 miles per hour to get back to the future. And right now we're on our way to Courthouse Square, and to tell you more about Courthouse Square, here's star Leah Thompson and one of the producer, writers, and creators of Back to the Future, Bob Gale.
Welcome to the Courthouse Square. These sets were used to create Hill Valley in the Back to the Future films.
And they represented multiple time periods, 1985, 1955, and the far, far distant future, 2015. To this day, this is one of the most popular sets on the Universal Studio Tour.
We had a lot of fun making those films here on the lot. I wonder what it'd be like to go back to those days. If only we had a time machine.
Hey everybody, do you think we can get this tram up to 88 miles per hour? See you in the future.
CJ, what do you think? You think we can do 88 miles per hour? Let's try it. Now let's head back to the future for a second and into Courthouse Square, or as you might know it as Hill Valley. And there's Doc Brown. Hi, Doc. That clock tower is where Doc harnessed the bolt of lightning that sent Marty McFly back to the future. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
In 1885 to present day, you finally made it. What a good-looking group of time travelers. Give yourself a round of applause. Excellent. Yes, as you can see, I brought my time machine. I figure if you're going to turn a car into a time machine, you might as well do it with a little style, right? And you can see the clock is still stuck at 10:04 p.m. from November 12, 1955. We're right down that street I said, Marty, Back to the Future. Now guess what? We're going to do another time experiment with you. We're going to be sending you about 30 seconds into the future. Really 3 hours. You're going to go to New York, where Marty and I are on Broadway. Huh? All right. Well, I'll see you all in the future.
All right, thank you so much, Doc.
Take care, people.
And not disrupt the space-time continuum. Now, the building might look a little different from how you remember it, and that's because it's covered by a facade. A facade is a structure that can only be filmed from the front and the sides. It's everything that the camera sees. If we want to film the interior and exterior of a set, that's called a practical set, and we have our fair share of both here on the lot. The facades are really beneficial for when we want to disguise our productions, our sets from production to production, without costing time and money. Back to the Future was originally going to be filmed on location in Petaluma, California, but we realized too much time and money to do what the script called for, jump back and forth between 1985 and 1955 and back again. Instead, we can come here and put up a facade, just a fake wall, and boom, we brought you back to the different time periods. Now, Courthouse Square still has many facades that were built in the 1940s. The rest of our Metro sets are considerably newer, redesigned, and rebuilt in 2008. Before that, this area was home to a Studio Tour classic, and here's one of the stars of the Universal's 2005 version of King Kong, Jack Black, to tell you all about it.
And self-action. Did you know the Metro sets were once the home to Hollywood's biggest star? Right here is where the original Studio Tour King Kong attraction resided from 1986 until 2008. He stood 30 feet tall and weighed in at 13,000 pounds. Over the years, millions of guests got to meet King Kong face to face as he shook the tram. So close you could feel his hot banana breath. Is that it? I believe that's my last line, and then tram moves on to the next thing.
It's true, we do move on to the next thing shortly after that, but thankfully we're not too far off because we're going to head out of the concrete jungle and head into the jungles of Skull Island. Here's Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I went to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up in adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
Quick safety reminder, please remain seated at all times. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle and pull the red cord in case of an emergency. Supervise all children. The amount of phones that have been lost here at Skull Island unparalleled, so hold on to those tight, otherwise you'll never see them again. I wish I was kidding, or you won't be able to retrieve them until the very end of the day. If you look at our Metropolitan sets from this angle, you'll notice they're 50 feet tall, but on camera they look a lot taller, and that's because of a practical effect we use called forced perspective. The higher these buildings get, the physically smaller the windows get as they go up the building, which elongates it on the screen. A practical effect is any effect that's created without the use of technology. We even use one in King Kong as well. Rather than transporting our entire production company to the exact location that fits our vision, we can just create a miniature scale here in the lot. Wasn't that the coolest thing y'all have seen today? Now that epic battle was brought to you on some of the world's largest 3D screens, measuring at 40 feet tall and 180 feet wide. It was brought to you by the minds of Peter Jackson and the team over at Weta Effects. Weta Effects has won a total of 7 Academy Awards and worked on films such as Outside the Way of Water, Lord of the Rings trilogy, Planet of the Apes, and of course, King Kong. Now, everybody be sure to get your cameras ready, because coming up on our right is one of our oldest attractions. We have since retired it. On your right are the Runaway Train and the collapsing bridge. The collapsing bridge was a mechanical effect that the trams used to cross. The hydraulic support beams would split and the bridge would seem to collapse. The Runaway Train was originally located in our western sets. They used to hurtle towards the tram and come to a screeching halt. Both are now retired effects made for the studio tour 50 years ago.
Or the ice tunnel.
Yeah,
Who didn't love the ice tunnel?
Well, one thing that hasn't changed has been families sharing this one-of-a-kind behind-the-scenes adventure together.
How about picture car?
That was real.
There you go.
Now, as we traveled to Skull Island, you may have noticed that we lost the 5th car of our tram. Y'all are just gonna trust me, no one's gonna check? Works for me. It is not there anymore. It disappeared into the depths of the jungle. But what's really cool about that, not for the 5th car, but for us, is that makes us a picture car. A picture car is any vehicle on the screen. Doesn't have to be a car, doesn't have to move, doesn't even have to turn on. And coming up on our left are just a few of some of the hundreds of picture cars that we have on our lot. The first one you're going to see is the 1932 Ford Deuce Coupe from American Graffiti. Picture cars serve a variety of purposes. They can indicate a genre, time period, add to a character's personality. We also got the Ferrari from Magnum PI, which doesn't have a Ferrari engine inside of it. It has a Volkswagen engine in it. That saved us a lot of money. We have cars from Back to the Future, bringing us to the futuristic year of 2015. Still waiting on my flying car. My favorite flying car for you Harry Potter fans, we have a Hogwarts graduate in the front row, Hufflepuff. This blue car is the Ford Anglia. We made Warner Brothers made 17 and a half models of that car. The reason they made half a model was because the film equipment couldn't fit inside the full-size car, so they cut it in half to get the perfect close-up shot of Harry Potter. And we have what looks like a tank coming up, but it's not. It's called the Bradley Fighting Vehicle. It's made out of pressed plywood and then later painted in order to make it look like it's rusting metal. That saved us a lot of time, money, and made it a lot easier to drag around sets. Now, another famous picture car we have on the lot is our mobile lab from Jurassic Park. And speaking of Jurassic Park, let me take y'all to a little island off the coast of Costa Rica.
To Jurassic Park.
Dinosaurs are in our DNA here at Universal, and they've been a part of the tour for 3 decades. I'm excited to tell you that the new era of the franchise begins on July 2nd, 2025 with Jurassic World 4. Just in time for our 60th anniversary. And as we enter the Jurassic Forest, here's Chris Pratt to tell us about the location.
Studio tour was the greens department, where we keep real plants and trees that can be used as set dressings for TV shows and movies. Nowadays, it's where you can see many of the set pieces used in the Jurassic films, including some plants and trees, except these are. Just like the dinosaurs around. At least, I don't think the dinosaurs. Actually, there might be a few buildings around, so just be on the lookout. You know me.
Oh my goodness, y'all. I had no idea that was going to happen. Okay, I had a little bit of an idea, but it's okay. They're only venomous on Thursday, so we're good. Now, the mobile lab, you might remember it from a scene where it was dangling off the side of the cliff, but that wasn't a cliff at all. You see, we didn't have to leave our lot to film the scene on your screen. In fact, we didn't even leave our parking lot, because we filmed it inside a parking structure. Next to Soundstage 14, we combined CGI with real and fake plants in order to bring it to life. Now, another important effect with productions is weather. Jurassic Park, for example, the hurricane prevented everyone from leaving the island and furthered the plot. Then when we met the T-Rex, the thunder and the lightning really emphasized the mood. But what do? When the weather we need isn't in the forecast for the upcoming month or the entire length of production, in that case, we make our own. We're now visiting another classic attraction on the back lot. To tell you more is today's show co-host and weather anchor, Al Roker.
my favorite part of the tour, weather. When it comes to film and TV, it is truly a special effect. In fact, to demonstrate how weather effects are created, we debuted our first major attraction here on the studio tour way back in 1968.
Rain comes straight up at our sprinkler heads and arcs down going to mimic the real flow of rain in the full of gravity. There's a rumor that they're sitting in the rain. They put no power in the droplets to make it look more defined on camera. That is not true. They actually just use a lighting technique. You let the actor from the front and let the rain from the back. Really technical films are for that. It's called backlighting. But this is getting a little intense. We should probably turn it off, right? Yeah, I think so. Oh no, this button's not working. CJ, the button's not working. CJ says we're on our own. Oh my gosh. Oh no. Okay, 1 second. Oh no. Oh no. Flash flood! Well, that has never happened before. You might remember it from Big Fat Liar. And that's over 6,000 gallons of water that goes down the hill and gets recycled back up again for the attraction over and over. And it's the oldest attraction we have on the studio tour. And we actually added it because, we're an active working film studio. But we were worried that guests would show up on days where there wasn't a film taking place. So in order to make sure action always happened on our lot, we added the flash flood. Now, right now we're traveling down what we call 6 Points. It's our western set. Now, it gets its name because off of this one main road, there are 6 distinctly different side streets. Each one can act as its own town, equipped with its own bar, sheriff's office, and more. Now, this set was essential during our early days of filmmaking because we were in the silent era of film. So we could theoretically film 6 productions at one time here, and that is exactly what we did. During our first year being open, we released over 200 westerns thanks to 6 Points. And our founder, Carl Lemley, even invited the public to come watch the filmmaking take place, which was not just unique and wonderful for the public, but it was great for the actors as well, because the public would cheer for the good guy, boo the bad guy, and it really amplified their performances. Nowadays, we can't have audience participation in the same way. Talkies made their way into cinema, the microphones pick up the slightest noise. If a tram goes through a hot set, the words "quiet zone" flash on our screens, but there is an exception to when we do allow audience participation, and that's when it's in the form of a live studio audience. And in that case, we head just across the lake behind me to soundstages 30 through 33, home of The Voice. Now, soundstage 12 is our largest at 30,000 square feet, but these can be opened up to create one massive soundstage at 36,000 square feet. Now, the lake to our left was also known as the Hollywood Ocean. Here in 1974, we added the parting of the Red Sea to the studio tour. It was inspired by the classic film The Ten Commandments, a Paramount picture. The star of the movie, Charlton Heston, made an appearance to part the waters for our guests.
This tram is overloaded. Tell them they can walk on water. It's part of the tour.
There have also been exploding water mines on the lake, torpedoes, and prop submarines as part of the action in there, including Creature from the Black Lagoon, because that is where we filmed it. Creature of the Black Lagoon is celebrating its 70th anniversary. It's part of our legacy of horror and monster movies that stretches from Dracula in 1931 to the upcoming Dark Universe at Universal Epic Universe opening next year in Orlando. Now, a lot of our monster movies were filmed in Little Europe. Over the years, it's been transformed into Italy, Paris, Wales, Transylvania. You're a fan of The Princess Diaries? It was the fictional country of Genovia. The Princess Diaries 2, The Royal Engagement. But most recently, and now most famously, it's been known as something else. The Afterlife. Welcome to the good place.
You, Eleanor Shellstrom, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, come on. I've never ever seen this.
You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Well, maybe it's not all that bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna help you.
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
And this really is where we filmed The Good Place. It's not a recreation, this is where we filmed all the episodes. To our right is our Court of Miracles, where many a mob scene has taken place over the years. Some of our classic monster films include Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, Hunchback of Notre Dame, which this past year celebrated its 100th anniversary. Crazy to think about, our filmmaking really goes back over 100 years. Now, one of our most famous films was Dracula. It starred a man named Bela Lugosi, who was a very prominent actor of that time period, mainly associated with monster films of playing the mad scientist, so it makes sense that when we were casting the role of Frankenstein's monster, we immediately approached Bela Lugosi. But he had two problems with accepting the role. The first was that there were no lines. He believed the real actor needed lines. The second, he was worried the prosthetic makeup involved would inhibit his acting abilities. But he agreed to a screen test on the condition he'd be allowed to do his own makeup, and the studio agreed. There he is on your screen. Now, he did the screen test, but when the audience saw it, they immediately laughed at him and his makeup. In response, he said, "Listen, I didn't want the role in the first place. In fact, this part is so easy, even a background actor could do it." And so you know what they did? They hired a background actor. There he is on your screen. His name was Boris Karloff. And he was so successful in the role of Frankenstein's monster, he went on to star in many other monster films, with Bela Lugosi often appearing as his second. He also went on to win a Grammy Award for voicing the narrator in the animated version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So that just goes to show y'all there are no small parts, only small actors, okay? Y'all go chase those dreams. And now in front of us is Soundstage 50. You might know that the last year we closed the Earthquake attraction that stood on this part of the lot for decades. Now we've made way for this new, unrivaled, state-of-the-art soundstage that is already in high demand. And it's in such high demand that there's filming happening in there right now. Thankfully, we've made an arrangement with production that allows us to travel through these elephant doors and into the soundstage where we can see what happens in there firsthand. You can tell by the wigwag light over to our right. This red light looks like a stoplight. We have those on all of our sound stages, which is why you might see your tour guides frequently looking behind them as they talk. That's because they always have to make sure that filming's not in progress, otherwise the words "quiet zone" flash up on our screens. Before we go in, I want to do a quick safety reminder because we're at our halfway mark in the tour. Remember, the studio is private property. If at any time you drop your phone or just can't wait to use the restroom, reach up, grab that red cord, and remain seated. And I'll be back to assist you as soon as it is safe to do so. And as we get prepared, here's some behind-the-scenes production. Okay, let's head into the soundstage. As you can see, it is decorated for a highly anticipated production. It's Hollywood's only two-level soundstage. I mean, check out the detail in here. First floor is decorated like a subway station, very similar to the original Northway. This is a hot set, and it's completely decorated, locked for picture, and ready for the director to call action. We have some of the original visual elements previously setting up a subway platform. You can see it seems like we just left the sound stages. We got our camera set up already. sounds exciting, but it's not the most exciting part of Soundstage 50. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go around again. Which I feel like is a good option since EQ has been shut down for a year, am I right? Yeah, I think so. Now behind me are the backside of 6 points, so while we make our way around again, I want to tell you all a little bit more about the set. So as we were traveling down 6 points, you might have noticed that the doors were significantly smaller than others. Some super big, and that's on purpose. It's because of the height gap, because of the actors of that era when we were filming. For example, John Wayne stood at about, well over, honestly, 6 feet tall. Other actors like Alan Ladd were 5'7". So in order to combat the height difference on screen, they would take the shorter actors and put them in front of the smaller doors, taller actors in front of the taller doors. That scene on your screen that I just paused on, the actor that's closest towards us, you might have noticed it looked like he kind of rocked into frame. He didn't exactly walk on screen. And that's because he's shorter than the 2 actors that are facing him, so he's standing on an apple box. A lot of times their female counterparts were taller than them as well. So if there was a scene where the actors and actresses were walking side by side, they would actually dig a trench for the actresses to stand in. We also had 2 contract Western stars that worked for us. Their names were Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds. And Burt Reynolds was fired because they said he couldn't act. And then Clint Eastwood was fired because they said his Adam's apple wasn't photogenic enough. Right? We don't remember the man who fired them, but we definitely do know the names Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds. We have a lot of new elements with the 60th anniversary, and one of them is our newest comedy clips.
And I'm Wendy McClellan.
We're on the set of our new hit sitcom, St. Dennis.
You know, they say laughter is the best medicine.
You know, I'd say penicillin is the best.
Naproxen sodium isn't too bad either. But since we don't have any clips of actual medicine to show you,
that would make for a pretty boring.
Let's laugh at some of the funniest moments from Universal comedy history.
Playback.
The new phone book's here! The new phone book's here!
I went to answer the phone, I was gone a second, I came back in, he let himself out of the playpen, he put on Scarface, and he glued his hands to the rum bottle. Okay?
And welcome back to Soundstage 50, everybody! Second time's the charm. Now you may have guessed by now that this is not just a regular soundstage. But it does entail more than a big drum. I don't know what's happening, y'all. To your right. Goodness, y'all. Congratulations, you just survived Earthquake, the big one! The attraction originally opened 35 years ago in 1989 and just reopened for our 60th anniversary with a complete Hollywood makeover. Updating all of the props and movie-making equipment, bringing the set into the 21st century. This attraction was inspired by the disaster classic Earthquake. The movie Earthquake will celebrate its 50th anniversary this year. It was released in November 15th, 1974, and it starred Charlton Heston, Richard Roundtree, and Ava Gardner, and filmed in our sound stages on the Metro sets and in our Flash Flood. On our release schedule in 1974, Earthquake, which opened around Thanksgiving, was supposed to be followed by an even more terrifying film at Christmas. But production delays kept that from happening, but eventually, audiences got to visit Amity Island for their summer vacation. Now, for those of you who have never been into a soundstage before, I would just like to preface that that is not something you should expect every time you enter a soundstage. Now, Jaws has been a fan favorite on the studio tour since 1976, when the shark made its backlot debut. And there have been a few different versions of our technical shark, starting with one that we affectionately called Carrot Tooth because of its oversized teeth. So we talked about classic westerns. Classic monster films. But what about the monster from the first ever summer blockbuster? Let's go for a swim over to Amity Island. And y'all might be thinking, hey Silas, is there a shark problem here? No, I fixed it, okay? You don't seem too sure, but I fixed it, okay? Y'all just wait and see. See how peaceful it is? Oh my goodness. If we had something to worry about, the iconic Jaws theme would start playing. That's when you know that we would get out of here. But no, peaceful, I fixed it, I caught the shark, nothing to worry about. Okay, I spoke a little too soon. That's my bad. That's on me. But you know what? It's a good thing my friend George isn't working today. He's the diver here at Universal. If he was out there, this would not be good. Oh my gosh, there's George over by the police boat. George, get out of the water. George, watch out. George, weird time for a bubble bath, buddy. You can get out anytime. You know what, I'll text you, okay? I'll text you. Divers, they dive, I'm sure he's, okay. Well, I put shark bait in that white barrel in preparation. Boom, shark took the bait, and hold off. Let's hide behind these flammable barrels, that'll keep us safe. To be fair, that was CJ's idea with the barrels. I said no barrels, and he was like, barrels, barrels. Oh my goodness. I did notice that y'all were very terrified of the mechanical shark, but not of the very real flames. I did notice that, yeah. Now, Jaws was actually just as much a terror off-screen as he was on-screen. You see, Steven Spielberg wasn't the original director attached to the film. It had been someone else. And that director was let go because he kept referring to Jaws as a whale. And the studio said, listen, if you want to stay on the project, you got to start calling him a shark. And he was like, I just think the whale needs to be a lot scarier. So they took him off the project. They called him Steven Spielberg. His only credit at the time was the Sugar Land Express, but he had previously expressed interest, and so they brought him on. But the problem was, the original director had already built the first mechanical shark, and he built it to work in fresh water. Steven Spielberg wanted the film to be as true to life as possible, and so he decided that they would film that on the open ocean. The moment they put that shark in the ocean, it sank to the very bottom. They went through several other mechanical sharks as well. Each one failed just as much as the last, so much so they nicknamed the project Flaws. Scheduling was pushed over 100 days past schedule, and their budget tripled. Not such a bad thing it was pushed back, though, because then it became known as the first ever summer blockbuster. Not just within our studio, but ever. Now, I just showed you a clip. If you don't recognize that as Amity Island, we did use it as Cabot Cove in Murder, She Wrote. Over to our right is our Chicken Ranch, best known for the best little whorehouse in Texas, starring Dolly Parton. The Chicken Ranch, along with 1313 Mockingbird Lane, home of the Munsters, were both built inside Soundstage 12, which was the first place I showed y'all today, and then later brought out here to the back lot, and the Chicken Ranch opens up like a dollhouse. Now we're passing by our Colonial Street, which was Wisteria Lane for all 8 seasons, also home to The Bird, starring Tom Hanks, Casper starring Christina Ricci, and most recently our new TV show Ted.
Let the festivities begin. How many we got? Well, let's see, we got 20.
Now you may remember that the Lion Estates was where Marty McFly lived Back to the Future, where he lived in Back to the Future trilogy, and those signs to our left are replicas of the original props made for the 30th anniversary of the first film. Now, an executive producer of that film was Steven Spielberg, so it's very fitting that those are there because we are traveling up Steven Spielberg Drive. But this area of it is called Wilderness Road, and the reason is because if you look around you, you will see nothing, and that is on purpose. Whereas other production companies have to go to the actual wilderness for filming, that means that they're going to be confined to using the set amount of production trucks that they brought with them for the day. But if we come here, we have everything we need in our front lot at the bottom of the hill. Our entire makeup, wardrobe, props, everything we need, which saves us time and money, but it shows you we really utilize every inch of land that we have here, even if it seems like there's nothing around. Over to our right, we have our massive blue screen. We use this area for films that require sets that are too big to fit inside of our sound stages, like we filmed our plane crash scene from Sully there. The massive blue screen has a basin in front of it. It holds 2.7 million gallons of water and takes 3 full days to fill it up. We digitally inserted the Hudson River shoreline onto the backdrop, and so this whole scene was filmed to our right. Same area where Jim Carrey walked on water in Bruce Almighty. Now, as we turn this corner, we're headed to War of the Worlds, Steven Spielberg production. Now the plane over to your right is a real commercial 747. It cost $60,000, and it was shipped here on flatbed truck for $200,000. So that just goes to show y'all, always check that shipping and handling. Okay, that's where they get you. To our left, we're rebuilding some of the houses we had here. They were originally based off a real town in New Jersey, and we don't take our houses from someplace else, or at least these. We didn't take them from someplace else and put them here. We don't build them up and destroy them. We build them to look destroyed. Coming up on the right, we're going to see a set that has been a highlight since the original 1964 studio tour, and that is the home of Norman Bates from Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. And when we're at the front of the building, if you look in the top left window, you can even see his mother in the rocking chair.
I'd like to tell you about
When Alfred Hitchcock first submitted the film Psycho to the studio, he received back a 14-page letter listing all the revisions that needed to be made before they released the film. Instead of making any of those revisions, he just waited a few weeks, resubmitted the film, having made no changes. He got a letter back from the studio saying, "Thank you so much, Mr. Hitchcock, for making those revisions. We really appreciate it." And up next is our official scale replica of LA's most iconic landmark, the Hollywood sign. While we're celebrating our 60th, the Hollywood sign has been commemorating its centennial year. Our version of the sign is a scale model. The letters on your right are 10 feet tall, while the original letters stand at 45 feet tall. Now, for the first few decades of the studio tour, one of our hallmarks was a visit to the Prop Plaza, where guests could disembark for once-in-a-lifetime photos and to interact with characters, vehicles, and props from their favorite productions. And well, guess what? For our 60th anniversary, we brought that opportunity back. And now remember, folks, this is a limited stop. When you are ready to continue your tour, simply follow the signs. You'll be boarding a different tram with a brand new studio guide and driver, so remember to gather all your personal belongings and your 3D glasses. You'll need them when we resume the tour, and as you disembark, please walk towards the front of the tram and have fun, or the studio tour ambassadors will direct you. Watch your hands and feet as these doors open. Please grab all of your belongings. Thank you all so much, and I hope you have fun tonight.
I'll do this on mine.
Studios when I was 12 years old, feeling this feeling of wonder. You know, one of my first trips to Universal Studios, seeing the Jaws rock, one of my favorite movies of all time. Just feeling like, that's him. That's the Jaws. Like, I don't even know if that is the Jaws. I hope it is. Sharing space with Hitchcock and Spielberg, it couldn't be more fun.
What's up, Studio Tour? I'm Kiki Palmer from Jordan Peele's film, Nope. What's a bad miracle? Well, you'll have to see our movie to answer that one. Until then, I hope you enjoy your visit to Jupiter's Claim.
Did you see a UFO in that cloud?
Yep. I ain't never seen nothing like this.
What is it called?
No.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, the nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Juke Park. Over there, look into the winking well and have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Share. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? Why? A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. It's not looking so live anymore. Anyway, behind this Hollywood fantasy, Golden Rush frontier town, lies a sinister secret. It is smack dab in the center. Welcome to the world of No.
are the actual sets of Jupiter's plane that were used to film Nope. They actually filmed the majority of it in Santa Clarita, but brought the sets here so we could go through them on the tour. But we're now headed toward the part of our tour where we once had an attraction called the Doomed Glacier Expedition, better known as the Ice Tunnel. This tunnel was featured in an episode of The $6 Million Man starring Lee Majors with Andre the Giant as Bigfoot. The tram would climb to an imaginary elevation of 12,000 feet, and the only way back to the theme park was through the ice tunnel. When inside, the slightest sound could trigger an avalanche, and it always did, causing the walls to spin and guests to tilt along with the Hollywood special effect. Since then, we stopped tilting and started drifting. That's right, we are currently hiding out in Sullivan's garage because someone on this tram is a witness to criminal mastermind Owen Shaw, and he is after us. But don't worry, we've got the whole family to look after us, so we will be perfectly safe.
My name is Roman Pierce. Pleased to meet you. My buddy Hobbs asked us to stash you from Shaw for a while. So we brought you in our secret spot.
All right, look, guys, we're gonna keep Shaw from finding you, but to keep you safe, we need your help. We don't want the syndicate tracking us here, so put away your cameras and turn off your cell phones. One flash or one ringtone could give us away.
I need y'all to take this real serious.
Okay, pull into the next bay and we'll meet you in there.
All right, everyone, just a reminder to remain seated, hold on to your belongings, and no flash photography. This could get a little fast and a little furious.
This is what we're doing. This is the race day after party, and the where the
Roman Pierce, FBI, don't move.
Damn.
That's right, party's over.
You know how long I took to iron this shirt, man? I'm not.
You're under arrest right now.
Ladies, just back up a little bit. I got it. It's lightweight. First of all, I don't work for you.
Oh, really? Well, tell me, Roman, who do you work for?
We don't work for nobody. Cop, I suggest you clear out of here, otherwise we can't guarantee your safety.
Guarantee my safety? I'm the one holding the gun.
Yeah, but mine's a whole lot bigger than yours. Escort this novice out. Let's go, Cookie Puss. You got an ugly suit on, man. It's cheap.
Somebody out there really pissed off Shaw. It's gonna get ugly fast.
Yeah, don't worry. Lucky for you, our whole family will protect you.
Are you kidding me, Roman? You didn't shut off your phone, bro?
I gotta call you back. I'm in the middle of something.
See what I'm talking about?
Call you back. Man, it was on vibrate. Shaw traced us. Ops can't hold him forever. Letty, Roman, we're up. Driver, move that vehicle. It's about to get real interesting. My Mona Lisa's all warmed up right next door. Roman, grab your truck. I need you and Letty ready to roll.
All right, everyone, now's a good time to put on those 3D glasses.
This is our turn.
Don't worry, I got this. Woman, don't shoot! Head from the bridge! Under construction! Everybody hold on!
Alright everyone, let's hear it for Fast and the Furious Supercharged.
At a movie theater in a way that only Universal can. I hope that you had a great time today, and on behalf of everyone at NBC Universal, thank you for joining us to celebrate our diamond anniversary. Here's to another 60 years.
Thank you, Jimmy. Alright, and thank all of you so much for celebrating 60 years of the studio tour with us today. And our 60th anniversary is special to us because the studio tour is where it all began for Universal destinations and experiences. From just 2 glamour trams traveling around the studio lot back in the summer of 1964, we have developed into so much more, including 7 new theme parks entertaining millions of guests every year, and our upcoming Universal Epic Universe opening next year in Orlando in 2025. I'd also like to acknowledge all of the studio tour guides, ambassadors, drivers, and everyone in our history who have helped make the studio tour truly world famous. From our very first 4 guides and drivers to the hundreds of team members who support our tour today. And to all of our past members, thank you all so much for being with us today. And make sure you downloaded the Universal Studios Hollywood app. That's where you'll find all of the information on our park hours, wait times for our attractions, mobile food ordering, and so much more. Now, to purchase any of the movies or TV shows we've talked about on the tour today, you can do so by visiting www.uphe.com or ask any of our retail stores for more information. Now, once again, everyone, on behalf of myself, Bella, our amazing driver, Glenn, everyone, let's hear it for Glenn. And all of us here at Universal Studios Hollywood, we hope you've enjoyed this exclusive behind-the-scenes experience that has been 60 years in the making. And like we say in Hollywood, that is a wrap. Once our tram comes to a stop, just remain seated until one of our amazing studio tour ambassadors opens the doors for you. But have a wonderful rest of your night, everyone.